Happy Pajama Day! Today we're celebrating self-care. We got a couple of awesome videos about what that means, and so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can do that. I'm just going to give a quick run through of the schedule first, and we'll do this again after the videos. So, it's Pajama Day. Awesome. In our band practices this morning, we're going to work on our music videos. Makia is planning to come back and stop in and do some progress updates and help where possible. Then at lunch, I'm really excited. From Nashville, Tennessee, we're having Rachel Kate. And for those of you who came to the She Returns from War lunch band, Hunter covered one of Rachel Kate's songs. And today we're having Rachel Kate join us at lunch, and I'm really excited. So at 1 o'clock, we're having, is it still yoga today? Yes, okay. Yoga at 2 o'clock. We're doing a podcasting follow-up with Ome. So if you wanted to record a little bit of a podcast about Black Lives Matter, you know, get yourself or your family on tape or pull up, you know, I know like some folks went to protest or have been to other events where they might have some audio. So those are all things that you can submit to the podcast form. And then at 3 o'clock, we're having an open craft hour, specifically with Ellen on food justice and knitting with magic. So those are all going to be so much fun. Now, if you will, wish me luck as I share my screen.
Hey Girls Rock campers, let's talk about self-care and what it means. It's basically exactly how it sounds, taking care of yourself. The same way you would try to cheer up a sad friend or give a hug to your little brother, sometimes we have to provide the same care to ourselves. So what can you do for self-care? One option is to think of your favorite colors or the kind of energy you want around you. If you like red, then you need energy and strength around you. Let's say you like pink. That provides love and support. Orange energy gives you creativity and happiness. What if you like yellow bubbles? They provide power and confidence. Green gives you peace and balance. What about blue? Blue color bubbles provide freedom. Another way to practice self-care is to be mindful and to move. For instance, maybe just go for a slow walk outside, with permission of course, and take notes of the things you see, smell, hear, and feel. Feel the winds or sun on your skin, the smell of leaves, grass, or water. Look around and notice the sun on the leaves or reflecting off of the water. Take it all in and remember to breathe. Another way to practice self-care is to check in with yourself about what you're grateful for. It could be your favorite snack, like carrots. It could be listening to your favorite song. Or it could be just finding time to write in your gratitude journal your thoughts, your feelings, your highs and lows. Take time to check in with yourself. Just remember, self-care can be whatever you want it to be, and it can look however you want it to look. It could be singing. It could be dancing. Or it can be you simply rocking out.
Hey y'all, I'm Elizabeth. I use they or she pronouns, and I'm looking forward to practicing some mindfulness and meditation with you all today. So before we get started, you'll want to find yourself in a place with as few distractions as possible. So if your phone's near you, turn it to silent if you haven't done so already. If there's some TV going on in the background, turning that down. And if there's some people talking in the background, maybe asking them to turn their volume down as well. That way we can be as present as possible. Also, if you're not already seated in a chair and are instead sitting crisscross applesauce like me, either of those are fine, but we will be seated throughout the entire meditation. If you're seated in a chair, that's great. Maybe just scoot back and allow yourself to be supported a little bit more by the chair. And if you're sitting crisscross applesauce, you'll want either a yoga block, a pillow, or a folded blanket, like how I'm using. And just put that right underneath your bottom. That way you have a little bit more support. So really, mindfulness, if you're not already familiar, and if you're not, that's perfectly fine, because we're going to go through it all anyway. Mindfulness is really just being where you are as you are. And it sounds very simple and is somehow not always very easy to achieve, because sometimes we're thinking or doing something and our mind's somewhere else, right? Or we're not exactly where we are both mentally and physically. So meditation is the tool that we often use to try and be more mindful. So you can be mindful without meditating explicitly. You can be mindful even just writing your name on a piece of paper by paying attention to exactly each stroke that you're putting as you're writing, and that's mindfulness. You can even just, a very simple mindfulness is paying attention to where you are in space right now. What color is the wall? What's here? Being mindful of what's around you. Meditation can be very complex. Lots of some people use chanting. Some people do guided meditations, kind of like what we're about to do. But meditation can also be very simple. And the most simple meditation that I can show you is just one breath in and one breath out through the nose. And it's really amazing how that can really reset our entire nervous system. So whatever may have already been going on, we're able to take it in, come into our bodies again, and release whatever it may be that we're trying to reset from. So before we continue, we're going to do a little bit more on the formal meditation side, I guess I'll say. And we're going to be in our seated position. So we'll start by paying attention to what parts of us are touching. So if you're sitting crisscross, you may notice that the tops or sides of your feet are on the floor. If you're sitting in a chair, you may notice that your feet are on the chair or flat on the floor. And then going up the body and seeing what else may be touching. So if you're crisscross, is your foot touching your shin? Are your knees touching the floor? Same if you're in the chair. Are your legs touching the chair behind you? Are the backs of your thighs touching the chair, or the sides of your thighs touching the floor? And then just kind of wiggle that all out. Wake it up. And give awareness to that part of your body. Then continuing to travel up. Is your bottom touching the bottom of the chair or floor? And wiggling back and forth a little bit, waking up that part of the body. If you're in the chair, is your back up against the chair? Or your hands touching your thighs maybe? And then slapping your thighs lightly, not too hard, but just to wake up that part of the body as well. And then continuing to move up the spine. Your head may not be touching anything, but we're going to touch just the top of our head, bring awareness to it. Pat our head a little bit. You can say good job to yourself so far. And then no longer patting our head. And then bring awareness to our spine. Maybe in doing that, your posture may have changed a little bit. We really want to make sure we are giving enough space for our lungs, which are kind of like balloons, to open up and expand. There's no need to kind of be stick straight like this. There's no need to be uncomfortable. Just allowing a bit of length from all the way down to our tailbone, which is going down this way, all the way to the top of our head, creating as much of a line as we can. Continuing to breathe in this. Then shifting our focus to our breath. Just breathing as you are, not changing anything. Noticing how your chest may go out when you breathe, your belly may even go out too, and how they both go back in when you exhale. Breathing in again, expanding out. Exhaling back in. Breathing in again. Exhaling through the nose. Then thinking how we can expand. So breathing in again, filling up our balloon. Exhaling out, like letting out all the air of the balloon. Breathing all the way in, filling up our balloon. Exhaling out all the air. On the next inhale, let your eyes drop either down to the floor or close, whichever one is more comfortable for you. Continuing to breathe as you were, noticing if anything has changed. On the next inhale, breathing in joy, exhaling out fear. Breathing in creativity, exhaling out doubt. Breathing in power, exhaling out negativity. Continuing to breathe just as you were, noticing if maybe even just hearing those words changed anything for you. Change anything in your body and how you're breathing. Then on the next breath in, think about something that you want. So we're going to be setting an intention for the rest of the day. And this can be something very specific to you, something that you want to have or something that you want to be. And try to narrow it down to one word. Continuing to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Really focusing on that one word. Think about how that word, what it might look like if you were or had that. What it might sound like. And know what it might feel like. Neither to yourself or out loud, try to make an affirmative statement. So something usually that starts with I am or I have, rather than something like I want to be. Because even if you're not yet that thing or don't yet have that thing, if we say it is ours, we kind of start to believe it over time. So choosing that phrase, the I am or I have phrase, and saying it to yourself 3 times. Maybe even use some of those words that were said earlier if you haven't yet thought of one. Creative, powerful. You can also say it out loud if you'd rather. Breathing into that word or phrase. Noticing how you feel. Both in body and mind. How it might have changed you. Or if it didn't, that's okay too. On the next inhale in, letting your eyes flutter open if they haven't already. Let's take one final breath in through the nose and out through the nose. Take a second to notice how your body might feel different, your mind might feel clearer, and if it doesn't, that is okay, because mindfulness is a practice and it is not something that we aim for perfection. The more we practice, the more we can find surprises, discover things, creativity, new ideas. So there's not any pressure for this practice, the simple breath in or breath out meditation that you may use to be perfect by any means. Because you're enough and you rock exactly as you are. Thank you for letting me practice with you all today, and I hope you do some really amazing things.
Okay, I'm going to try and speak quietly at first in case you had your volume turned all the way up, but I will soon revert to my normal speaking voice, so please adjust your volume as is appropriate for your ears. So that felt really good. My lungs are now full of air, and that's a good way to start your day, especially if you can start it in your pajamas. Susie, I see your hand. Do you have a question you'd like to ask or something to say?
No. I don't know what just happened.
I hit the wrong button sometimes. Thank you.
Also, I'm not on screen. Like, I put off my screen.
Yeah. As long as that's what you wanted it to be. You're good with that, right? That's not an issue, right? Okay. Thank you, Susie. So next thing we're going to do is, we had a really good day yesterday, and I'm sure many folks have some shout outs to give. So we're going to do our shout outs. Also, on Mighty Networks, there is an entire topic area dedicated to shout outs. And I don't know if y'all have seen it. I'm going to put it up on my screen so that we can also look at where that is, because there are many shout outs. And you might have one up there that you haven't seen. wishing me luck, I hope. So if you go to the topics on the left-hand side or in the menu when you go on your tablet, there's a topic called Shout Out Wall. And so there's lots of shout outs up here for y'all and for the volunteers. And you can certainly add them to the shout out wall if you don't want to say them out loud at assembly. But with that, does anyone want to get us started with our shout outs for the day? Shout out to Delilah. You have a shout out, Delilah?
I wanted to give a shout out. I'm giving a shout out to band Starlight. They're working hard yesterday on our band lyrics.
Awesome. Shout out to Starlight. Mira.
Shout out to all the storytellers yesterday. Storytelling event was awesome. Y'all were very brave and a great audience as well.
Shout out to the Story Slammers. And to the Story Slam audience. Zoe.
Shout out to Sam for being so much fun.
Thank you. Applauding myself. Because you can. That's self-care too. Kendall?
My sister and me couldn't get into the Zoom yesterday.
The story?
I couldn't get into the Zoom yesterday, so we didn't get to do it. And my sister's asleep right now too.
Maybe if you still want to share a story, we can probably find some time today for y'all.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on yesterday. I'm glad you were able to get back into the Zoom today.
Yeah, me too. Wait, is this a morning meeting? Or is it is this morning meeting or is it past morning meeting?
This is the assembly in the morning, yep, and then we're going to go to band.
Okay, so I'm not late. I just slept in.
No, you're doing great. Zoe?
I also want to give a shout out to Sam for letting us have pajama day, costume day, and any other day.
Well, I want to shout out to all the other volunteers who planned the schedule and came up with those days, for which I had very little to do but participate in them. Thank you, Zoe.
I'll shout out to the campers who let us know that those were some ideas that they had that they wanted us to include. Thank you so much for those ideas.
That's right. Shout out, shout out, shout out.
I got one. I want to shout out my whole band for finishing their song. And I especially want to shout out Brooklyn for recording on Soundtrap at 7:30 last night. Amazing. Dedicated.
Queens of the Crystals.
I want to shout out to Brielle for being an awesome band coach.
Shout out to Brielle. Zoe, do you still have your hand up or is it just from before?
I do. Shout out to all girls because we rock.
Yeah. Brooklyn, was that your hand?
I was just applauding.
Shout out to Brooklyn. All right, so we will do, oh, Natalie, are you raising your hand? No? Sorry. Gotcha. All right, so let's wrap up the shout outs for the day, and we'll do this again a couple more times during the week unless I see, oh, Kendall, do you have a shout out? Okay.
Good. I shout out to two of my best friends are Danielle and Zoe. Zoe, the one with the Zoie, not the other one. But nice to meet you. The other one.
All right, I'm going to wrap up our shout outs for today. Maybe we'll do some more later. And like I said, and I think you can see my screen right now, that there is a place that you can come in and add your shout outs through the day when good things happen or you're grateful for something, just to keep all that positive energy going at camp. And we'll continue to have a blast. So I'm going to wrap up assembly by going back through today's schedule. We're going to head to our band practices and work on our music videos. Yeah. Then Makia's going to drop in at band practice at some point, potentially today, especially for the bands that Makia did not pop into yesterday. So when Makia comes to your band, if y'all will focus on your music video as soon as Makia gets in there, that would be very awesome, because that means that more bands will have time to spend talking with them. So after band practice, we're having Rachel Kate from Nashville at noon. Rachel Kate's amazing. So I'm really looking forward to that set and doing a Q&A. And I don't know if y'all remember, but She Returns for More said that Rachel Kate had also just been doing work for Celine Dion, doing fashion stuff for Celine Dion. So we could ask about that, because that's really cool. Anyway, I'm excited. Hope to see you there. And then at 1 o'clock, we're having yoga to continue our self-care theme. At 2 o'clock, Ome is going to come back and check in about the podcast that we all agreed to work on and make about Black Lives Matter. So if you wanted to do some audio for the podcast, there's an upload form. Good, I'm still sharing my screen. So when I go to my bands and groups tab, I see everything, but you should just probably see your own band. And we'll just, I'm gonna pop into Starlight. Thanks, Starlight. But when you're in your band space, there's a post from me called Podcasting File Upload. And this is the form where you just put your name, descriptions about your audio if you want to, attach your file. It'll either work from your tablet or your computer. And then once it uploads, you're gonna hit the submit button, and that's how we're collecting files, not just for podcasting, but there's also
Wait, how did you upload your thing again?
I'll show you. You see this? Do I need to make it bigger at all? I'll do it anyway. All right, I'm Sam. Podcast from protest, because that's what I'm planning to upload later today. And then on my computer, it pulls up a dialogue to pull in things from my computer. But on your tablet or your phone, you should be able to upload it from your phone. It should pull up the files on your phone or your tablet. If not, we can work out emailing and just talk to your band coach or counselor about how to do that. And so it'll upload it just like that. And then I hit upload. It did that blue bar.
How do you get there?
What's that, Catherine?
How do you get there?
I'll show y'all again in 1 second. And then after it uploads, you hit the submit button. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the home page. Does this look familiar? Well, not this. So this is kind of like when you log in, this is what Mighty Networks looks like. Okay, and then you want to go to bands and groups. You want to go to your band, and Catherine, you're Queens of the Crystals, right?
Yeah.
So this is what your band looks like. And so here's the one for the music videos. Here's one for the podcast. So you have to click on it for the form to show up. And then this form shows up. You put in your name, description of your audio, upload the file, hit submit. And then that's how Ome will get those podcasting files. And this process looks very much the same for the music video files. But if you have any questions about how to get anything to folks, just talk to your counselors or your band coach or me, and we'll make sure that everything works out because we rock. Another thing, and I haven't had a minute to make an example yet, but back page of your handbook, there's a button template. If you send a picture of your button, we will mail you a button. It's a pretty good deal. So if you want, and Christy, you don't know if there's any examples in here, do you? All right, here's a blank button. This is what I mean by button. The thing that pins to your bag or your outfit, and you can put your art on it. So all we need is a picture, a digital. You can even do it like, I'll show you my candy wrapper. So if I wanted a Tootsie Pop button, I could just take a picture with my web camera like this, send it to my band coach or counselor, or post it in my band group, and I would receive a 2-inch button that says Tootsie Pop in the mail. So pretty good deal. And I hope if you have some time to do some crafting, y'all will think about making some buttons. With that, Lizzie, please put us into our bands.